Hey, welcome, Ram fans. This is Steve Ivy, Swole Cracker, to my very first real video on my YouTube channel. Of course, it's a Monday morning cup of coffee on Crackers College Hoops. Those of you that have followed me for a while know that I like to do things Monday morning. Great way to start the week off, and it's a great way to hopefully sip some coffee. I did a video before outlining my goals and for the channel, and hopefully we'll get started with this video. As you can see, I'm doing it high from the rafters of Moby. I'm in the nosebleeds tonight. Technology's great, isn't it? Anyway, what we'll cover today, I don't know how long it's going to go. Depends on how long I talk for. But we're going to talk about what happened over the weekend. Obviously, the CSU football team recorded their first victory over Northern Colorado, but the CSU men's basketball team got their second commit for 2025, a young man named JoJo McIver. And we're going to talk a little bit about him, give you a little bit of an introduction to JoJo. Then I'm going to do a section where we're going to preview a couple of the new players on the team this year. I can't do them all at once, so we're going to break it down. I figure maybe do some. I'm going to do a Thursday segment. We'll do Thursday afternoon cocktail hour, and we'll do a couple then. And so we'll spread it out between now and when the season gets going to keep you guys informed and keep everybody interested. As you know, there's only 4 returners. We lost 9 players off of last year's NCAA tournament team. There's only 4 players returning this year: Nick Clifford, Jalen Lake, Kyan Evans, and Rashawn Mbemba. And so most of you are familiar with them. I'll talk about them after I go through all the newcomers and talk about what I think we'll see out of them. But there's also, so 4 returners, 4 freshmen. Kyle Jorgensen, a big from Minnesota; Jaden Stepp, forward from Oregon; John Mekinen, forward from Minnesota; and Darnell Slater, a guard from Southern California. And then we have the 5 transfers, and Ethan Morton from Purdue, Bowen Bourne from Northern Iowa, Jalen Crocker Johnson from Arkansas Little Rock, Keyshawn Williams from Northern Illinois, and Darnell Slater from, I'm sorry, not Darnell Slater, Nikola Joppa from Serbia, and played at Long Island University last year, the Blackbirds. Anyway, so I'll spend time today talking, giving a little introduction to Ethan Morton and Bowen Bourne. And then the third segment, as I said, if you watch my intro, I said I'd talk a little bit about the Mountain West as well, and we'll try and expand into the Mountain West as we get going here. I have some decent contacts and probably try and bring in some people from other Mountain West communities and have chats with them. But today it's just going to be just a top-level view of the Mountain West Conference in 2025 from the perspective of barttorvik.com, which is an analytical website that does predictive metrics. They looked at all the rosters of all the teams, all the additions, try to project a lot of different stuff, and came up with a ranking and where they nationally where they're expecting the Mountain West teams to rank. So we'll get into that. So let's get started. I want to talk about we'll talk about JoJo McIver. He committed over the weekend, as I said. One of the joys when we get a commit, you get an announcement from the player or from like a recruiting website. In this case, it was 247recruiting.com. But the other thing we get as CSU fans is we get the famous dancing Farokmanesh tweet. And then you always get Boombox Medved. They're not allowed to talk about the players, but they can express excitement. And believe me, they are excited about this young man. He had several offers. Had just visited Oklahoma State, I believe, the week before. So he has an offer from a Big 12 school, Oklahoma State. And he decided that the CSU program, Colorado State, was the program for him. It was the right fit for him, and he's really excited to be coming here. There was a nice article in the Coloradoan over the weekend about the commit by CSU beat reporter Kevin Lytle. I'd recommend that you take a look at that. It's a really nice article. But let's do a look. Let's take a look. I put together just a little short video of some highlights. JoJo, his team lost, I believe, in the state 5A championship. I think 6A is the biggest school in Texas, but they lost in the state championship. He led his team. And let's look at some videos, a couple of highlights from the sectional tournament that took them to state that they won. So here's the video. 6'3" guard. Here he is. He's a penetrator. He's very much a go to the hoop kind of guy. You can see nice little dribble drive, turn around. And this was the play that won. This was the buzzer beater to send them to the state tournament. And you can see the excitement of that. It was a great thrill for them. Obviously, that's the kind of player we're getting. He's I put 6'3" down. I've seen him listed as anywhere from 6'2" to 6'4". So I decided to compromise in terms of height. As I said, from Texas. So there's going to always be comparisons anytime we get a guard from Texas with Isaiah Stevens. And from what I understand, I've got a little bit of a birdie out there. As I said, the coaches aren't allowed to comment on these players, but I've got people that have been able to share stuff with me. And let me read what I got in terms of a text message. Similar in mindset to Isaiah. Very calm, very cool at the end of games. Never too high, never too low. That's a fit into the CSU system. So very similar in a lot of ways. Isaiah, better passer at that age. JoJo, better at the rim. Very similar shooting at the same stage. JoJo, much better defensively. So similar, but still different. The one thing that my birdie told me about this 6'3" guard is he's got a very big wingspan. 6'3" guy, 6'9" wingspan. So you're looking at a wingspan that's like a small forward, but he can handle the ball. So that's probably one of the reasons he's very, very good about going to the basket. He's also a very, very good defensively. Isaiah, from what I understand, just based on the comparison, a little bit more polished with his pull-ups at this stage, but we're certainly getting a player. I'm not going to compare him to Isaiah. I asked for perspective in a comp, and it was nice for the person to give me the comp because we can all relate to Isaiah, but Isaiah was one of a kind. If we get anything close to that out of JoJo, it'll be something. Anyway, I'm excited. I know the staff is excited, and we're still a year away from getting him. We haven't even seen this year's really strong freshman class take the floor. But welcome to JoJo. We're excited to have him. He's the second commit in the class of 225. He's joining Dr. Tedeschi, who's a 6'8" forward from Benton, Illinois. So that's the segment on JoJo. Let's move on. Let's start taking a look at a pair of the new members of the team, the transfers out of the portal. The first I want to take a look at, let's see, Ethan Morton, a graduate student from who comes to us from Purdue, 6'6", 215. And I got some stuff I want to share. First, I want to look at, let's just look at what he's done over his career at Purdue. Then I'll go back a little bit into his history so you can see his background. And then I've got a little bit of a video. So we'll do that for Ethan, and we'll do that for Bowen. So let's share a screen here. See if you can take a look here at the KenPom stats for Ethan. Here they are, and we can kind of slide up and down, but very limited play in his freshman year, less than 20% of the minutes. 20% of the minutes is 8 minutes a game, so somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes a game. Expanding in 2022, to about 35% of the minutes, so about 15 minutes a game. And you can see one of the things you saw very high. There's a very high offensive efficiency rating here, and a very high three-point shooting percentage here as well. So he had a really, really good year coming off the bench and playing a role. And then he moved into the starting lineup with Purdue. So his junior year, and you see usually what you see. So you see him playing over 60% of the minutes. That's about 25 minutes a game in a starting role. Usually what happens when you move into a starting role is you'll see your offensive efficiency fall down. And in this case, you see that it fell down, and his three-point shooting fell off. Purdue was a number 1 seed that year. He was a starter on a number 1 team in the country, or number 1 seed in the country, four number 1 seeds. And then the following year, unfortunately, they lost in the first round. They lost in the round of 64. Ethan was pushed to the side by Purdue. They were still a top team, still ranked pretty much first or second the whole year. His minutes fell off dramatically, basically about 10 minutes a game. You don't see very, very good stats, obviously, offensive rating. He was going in not in the strategic times of the game. So, that was kind of the gist of it from the Ken Pom perspective. Again, just to review. Very solid movement all the way through his junior year, and then pushed to the side. So he's excited. This is a good player, and I want to just kind of show you some of the things that what I mean in terms of a good player. Let's go down and just look at some of his history, and this is where you kind of get a feel for how good he was. He was a top 100 player in the same class as Neek Clifford. Basically, Neek was ranked right around 100th in that class. Ethan, 83rd nationally by ESPN, 88th by Rivals, 94th by 247 Sports. Pennsylvania's Gatorade State Player of the Year, and Pennsylvania Mr. Basketball. For those of you that don't know, the basketball in Pennsylvania is very, very good. Ethan's from Western Pennsylvania, Butler area high school. When I was growing up in back east, when I was at Duke, there were a lot of good players in the ACC who were from Western Pennsylvania, and I can tell you, North Carolina had some real good players from Western Pennsylvania. You probably have heard of one of them. His name was George Karl, later became a great ABA player and great NBA coach for Seattle, and obviously with our Nuggets. Anyway, you can see 23 points a game, 13 rebounds a game, 8 assists a game. This is a complete player, and chose Purdue over a slew of offers, including Indiana, Michigan, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Virginia, Oregon. This is a blue blood player. Sometimes things don't go the way you want them, but he certainly has a lot of the skills. And let me just show you a video just to show you. Let's just do a little quick video. You can take a look at what he's been able to do at Purdue. This first segment, you're looking at an elbow jumper that. Basically out of the half court, ball goes into Zach Edey. The big man comes out, penetration, pop from the elbow, doesn't over penetrate, takes a nice comfortable elbow jumper. The next segment, this is basically a 3-point shot. You can see the ball work the ball around, penetration in the lane. This is something you might see at CSU with the way they run their offense. How many times did you see Isaiah dribble the ball into the corner, into the paint, and then distribute to the wing? You see a 3-point make. This one here, a miss, an offensive rebound. Comes to Edey, turns around, sees Ethan at the top of the key, immediate penetration. And this is really impressive because he's penetrating against Indiana and 7-foot Kel Ware, number 1 draft pick by the Miami Heat. Gets a goaltend out of it, not afraid to go in against big men. So I like that segment. And then this one, out of a double team, picks up the ball, sees room, penetrates, goes with the up and under move. And so that's the fourth highlight. I'm not going to overdo the the highlights of Ethan. You know, one of the joys of showing highlights is, you know, if I showed, if the world existed around highlights, basketball games would end about 300 to 298. No one would ever miss. You'd see nothing but dunks. You'd see nothing but 3-pointers made. You'd see nothing but unbelievable moves, and it would be not very much fun to watch. So I like to show the highlights just to give an idea. Very well-rounded offensive game, not a high scorer, very smart player, also very, very good defensively. I didn't pull up his defensive stats, but he's known as a defender. So that's Ethan Morton. Let's go to Bowen Born. Let's pull up something here. Let me share the screen here. Let's pull up Bowen's stats from KenPom, and here we go. You can see again, he's always played pretty good minutes. Played a lot of good minutes as a freshman, and then fell off a little bit his sophomore year. His junior year, he really exploded. Over 80% of the minutes. 80% is 32 minutes a game. So you're looking at 33, 34 minutes a game. 78 made threes, 84% free throw shooter, high volume. This is a high possession guy. Anything above 25% is relatively high possession. Anything above 30 is very high possession. He's up in the 28 or 29 range. Not necessarily the most efficient scorer, but very much an aggressive scorer. And he was a very important part of the Northern Iowa offense. Minutes fell off a little bit last year. Still shot good percentages. Still 88% from the free throw line. Not a high assist guard, though. You're talking about a guy who can put the ball on the floor, shoot pull-ups, a guy who can put the ball on the floor and shoot 25-footers comfortably. He can also get to the rim. He can pass the ball, and you'll see that in the highlights. But that part of his game will probably come out in CSU's offense, given the fact that you're talking about an offense where there's you're talking about a top 5 team in the country in terms of assist rate. So I would expect to see Bowen. What did I do here? I'm sorry. Let's go here. I would expect to see Bowen really participate offensively. And be a very, very important part, not just in terms of scoring, but in terms of sharing the ball. So let me just give you an idea of kind of where his background, where he comes from. Here we go here. Let's share that. Let's go down to his high school. 5'11" guard, Norwalk, led the Warriors to 3 straight tournaments, state tournaments. All-state second team as a sophomore, first team junior or senior, championship game as a junior, claimed the state championship as a senior, one of the best Iowa high school players in the state's history, averaging 36.4 points per game, shooting 54+% from the field, 40% plus from the three-point arc. You're talking about Mr. Basketball again, Iowa Gatorade Player of the Year, first team All-State, ranked 6th all-time in the state of Iowa in scoring. So this is a legend, and this is a legend in terms of scoring, in terms of Iowa high school basketball. Has something in common, very much in common with Ethan Morton. Both of them Gatorade Player of the Year. Both of them Mr. Basketball in their state. So you're talking about elite talent coming to play here in their 5th year. Let me just give you some quick highlights let's do some quick highlights of Bowen. This is him. This is shooting a 3. He can stop. He can shoot off the dribble really comfortably, and he's got very, very good range. This one here, mid-range, just it takes the ball off a screen. Dribbles, penetrates, pulls up from the free throw line. Very comfortable, very clean, very easy. And then this one here, this is he's going to go to the rim here. Picked up a screen at the top of the key, and then decides I'm going to get all the way, and lays it up with the right hand. So he can get to the rim. And then finally finding the open man on the break. Like I said, he's not a high assist guy, but he's got good vision, and he sees people. So there he is, finding somebody on the break wide open, hitting him for hitting him for an easy basket. So that's the highlight reel I put together. Again, he's a scorer, averaged 18 points a game his junior year. And he will add a lot, given the fact that CSU lost so much scoring last year, losing Isaiah Stevens, Joel Scott, Pat Cartier, Josiah Strong, losing guys like that they were very important in terms of putting points on the board, and they really needed scorers. Bowen Bourne is going to be one guy counted on scoring. So, what do they bring? As I said, scoring from Bowen, you get a solid all-round game from Ethan Morton. Again, a lot of maturity. These are both fifth-year players. They're both graduate students. Bowen looking to make his mark at a higher level, played in the Missouri Valley Conference, which is a good conference, but not quite Mountain West, looking to make his mark in his fifth year. Ethan looking to make his mark as a top 100 player who saw his minutes fall off at Purdue and looking to get back on track and really finish with a flourish. Ethan brings a championship mentality, obviously, coming from Purdue, number one seed the last 2 years, top team in the Big Ten. So he's very comfortable going against big, strong powerhouse teams. Scoring and defense is what we'll get out of these guys. So the other thing I was going to mention this, and I forgot to mention it. When I was a kid growing up, UCLA had a hell of a team in the mid '60s, and they won the NCAA tournament in 1964 and 1965, and they had a lefty guard named Gail Goodrich, and he's a little bigger than Bowen. But I got to tell you that when I watch Bowen handle the ball and I watch him move around, he reminds me very, very much of Gail Goodrich, who went on to have about a 10-year career with the Phoenix Suns. I'm not saying Bowen's going to have a long NBA career, but the way they move and the way they shoot is very, very similar. And I'm excited. I love lefties. If you listen to a podcast I did earlier in the year, I'm going to love Bowen because I'm left-handed. I was an undersized guard. He's 5'11", so a little undersized. And he also wears my favorite number 13. So I'm excited to have Bowen as part of the program now. So that's the first two. And again, the next on Thursday, I'll probably cover a couple more. I haven't decided who yet. I got a little bit of work to do to pull that together. So let's go with let's move on. Let's talk about the Mountain West and what it'll look like. Next year. I got my notes here. This was all triggered by, there's a lot of discussion that was triggered on social media based on ESPN's primary bracketologist, the marvelous Joe Lunardi, coming out with his bracketology for 2025. And Joe predicted the Mountain West would have one team in the tournament and they would be a 12 seed. Basically, he was saying there will be no at-large teams out of the Mountain West, and the only team that would get in will be the Mountain West tourney champion. And that's pretty funny considering, last year, I'm not sure where he started. He might have had it as a 2-bid league. He didn't have it as a 6-bid league. Mountain West is a 6-bid league last year, and very, very deservedly so. And I'll show you some things on that in a little bit, but very deservedly so, with San Diego State and Utah State and CSU and Nevada and New Mexico, and who am I missing? I'm missing the Boise State. All six teams very much earned their way into the tournament. And so a lot of people got talking about this and going, "This is crazy. This is clownish." And so, I will say this, it's going to be an interesting year. There might be a little bit of a fall off, but I want to share some information just on last year, and then this year's projections from BartTorvik.com. And before I pull up Bart, before I pull up the screens from Bart Torvik, this is a really, really good website. He's been building it for many, many years, and I got to tell you, it was his site has been chosen by the NCAA for a couple of things they do so his predictive metrics will be used as one of the metrics for selecting NCAA tournament teams, and we'll see. The other thing he did was he added something last year. I think it was last year, maybe the year before, called wins above bubble, and that's a statistic he does where he evaluates how teams would predictively play against more of the top teams, and it's a stat that will be used by the NCAA again in terms of picking tournament teams. So this is how the Mountain West ended up last year in rank. You can see 28 San Diego State, 29 New Mexico, and you can see all the tournament teams all the way through 56 ended up as tournament teams. Pretty high numbers, right? So let me. I'm going to stop sharing that. I'm going to go back here, and we're gonna pull up the way the year started. So let's see if I can find this one screen. So here's where they started. This is where the rank started last year in 20. So I ran this through the first week of the season in November. One of the nice things about his site is you can look at teams do a lot of different things in terms of data analysis. One of the things I'll do down the road is show you some of the numbers for the teams against quad 1, quad 2 teams. We'll do that down the road. But in this one, this is where they started. So if you remember, I showed you 28 and 29 for teams like San Diego State, New Mexico. Look where they started the season. San Diego State, 56. San Jose State had won a game over a good team. They beat University of California, Irvine, 58. CSU, 78. Utah State, 96. 108. 152, Wyoming. You're talking 154 for Nevada. They ended up a tournament team as a 10 seed. So you're looking at that's what happens. The numbers a lot of times, basically when they start the season, they're just trying to project. And I'll show you the projections for next year in a second. But you're basically looking at all the players. You're trying to project the minutes they'll appear on the floor. You're trying to project what kind of growth they might have if they're holdovers from the previous year's season, what kind of impact they might have as a transfer, what kind of impact they might have as a freshman. And it's not a complete science. But let's pull up the. Oops, didn't want to go there. Let's pull up the share the screen from the 24-25 projections, and you'll see one of the things is the top team is very similar, 55 and 56. New Mexico and Nevada are very similar to where you saw San Diego State at the beginning of last year. Boise State, 67. You got San Diego State, Utah State, CSU, and UNLV as the next 4 teams. You can see 7 teams in the top 90. But again, this would say this is a one bid league. Last year, his numbers would have said one bid league as well. So you can take it seriously. You can take it with a grain of salt. Bottom line, from my perspective, well, one thing before I get into that, one of the things you look at is look how close they're predicting this race to be. There was a bigger spread last year. Look how close New Mexico and UNLV are, anywhere from 55 to 89. I loved how San Diego State, Utah State, CSU ended up 77, 78, and 79. He didn't do that on purpose. That's just the way his numbers exploded, but that's how close he expects the race to be. I think what we're going to see, I think the league will be a little weaker than last year. I don't expect to see 6 bids. I don't know if we'll ever see that. In the past, we've gotten used to having 4 bids. I think just it will be a little weaker based on the fact that there were fewer of the top returnees back this year. I think there's only 6 of the 15 all-conference players. I think that's the right number. Last year, I think 8 or 9 of them of the top 15 returned. So you're probably looking at a little bit of a fall off, but I think it's crazy to think that it'll be a one-bid league. I think these are, as I showed from the 24 numbers, the Mountain West is historically underrated, and based on the fact I don't think they really evaluate necessarily the impacts that the players from the portal are going to make. I think the coaches in this league are very, very good about finding people that are good about fitting into their programs. And so maybe rather than going out and paying $1 million for the superstar with NIL, like the big programs do, they're finding people that fit, maybe getting a small amount of NIL, but it's really more focused on fit than it is on buying players. So I think coaches are good at that. And then the second part is these coaches, these staffs have been around. There's a lot of veterans in the Mountain West, and a lot of quality coaching, especially when it comes to developing people. So developing players. So I think we're looking at more than one bid, less than 6. I would put the number at 3. 3.5 could be the over under. 4 is possible. 5 is certainly possible too, but I would put the number at 3, and I expect CSU to be very, very competitive. If you remember last year, I thought we were an NIT team. I didn't think we had a chance of getting in the NCAAs. I didn't think they'd develop as quickly as they did, and who could have predicted that they'd rise to 13th in the non-conference schedule, to 13th in the AP poll. They did it, and they earned their way, and they were certainly an NCAA tournament team, and they showed it by blasting a good Virginia program out of the Atlantic Coast Conference. So with that, I'm gonna call it a show. What's up next? I'll do a show on Thursday afternoon. We'll do Thursday afternoon cocktail hour. Before you go, please subscribe to my channel. We're trying to build it up. And if you subscribe, you can get notified when I drop videos. If I'm going live, you can get notified as well. As we get into the season, we'll start going live. The plan, if you watched my preview video, is I'll do pre-recorded videos up until the season. Try and do a few a week, and then as we get into the season, the goal is to actually do post-game chatter where I give my points of view and bring people on who saw the game, whether it's at the game or watched on TV, but bring in people that you'll be familiar with several of them, with those of you who've been around CSU a while. We'll bring people in and we'll chat and spend time after the game. Logistically, that's going to be fun for me to do. Running home from the game, trying to get things done. I've got some other ideas, that we'll try and do. I'm hopefully going to do it for road games as well. I plan to go to Las Vegas. We'll go see CSU play Virginia Commonwealth in December. I'll go to the CU game, and then certainly when the Mountain West comes around, we'll go to Air Force. I always go to Air Force, and then looks like this year I'll go to Wyoming. I don't know if I'll be able to hustle back in time. I may try and do something, see if we can pull it off from the car with some kind of holder for the camera on my phone, and we'll see what we can do there. Anyway, if you could hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. The other thing I want to encourage you to do is please leave comments under the video. I read all the comments. I am very, very interested. I want to structure this thing to meet your needs. I want to build a community where we share information. When we do the live stuff, we'll see if we can respond to comments that come in live. We'll have some fun with it. But the videos that are pre-recorded, please leave comments. I'll read them. If there's something I said that you question, share your opinions. This is all about sharing your opinions. And if there's some content you'd like to see, please let me know. I will read them and I will try my best to incorporate. So with that being said, Let's call it a day. Go Rams.